Hello, YouTubers. This is Yana's Reality TV blogger. Hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ready to Love Season 5, Episode 7. We are still in DC, and we are still in need of a cast overhaul because most of these people are not ready to love. So tonight's episode is Ladies Week, and nephew Tommy meets with them to basically let them know that they are going to be going out on dates and introducing the gentleman to their friends and kind of gauging on based off of their friends' feedback who is a match and who isn't. So we start off the show with Sabrina, and she has two gentlemen that she brings over to her friends, and she has like 7 or 8 people there. And so the first guy she brings is Walter, has glowing things to say about him. And, all of her friends and everybody really like Walter. They're into him. They think he's attractive and all this and that. And so then she brings in Sean as the second person for her friends to meet, but she sets it up in advance. She sets him up for failure. Now, I have my own opinions on Sean separate from, everything else, but she basically set it up as though, yeah, Sean told me that, in a couple months he may not, see us going anywhere and doesn't want to hurt me. However, she left out the reason that he said that was he didn't want to start a relationship with her knowing that a deal breaker for him is still, he wants to be a father. He still wants to have children. It had nothing to do with him trying to be a player or him trying to get to know multiple women at once. It was for the simple fact that, he was already interested, I think, in Aisha, and she's pretty much, at the time was a deal breaker on not having more children. And now Sabrina was the second lady who also did not want any more children. And so essentially his only connection technically after that was to Shia, but I don't even think he was really into her. So he was just trying to be polite in that in the event things didn't work out with them, it would have be something that would come up later, would be the kid thing. And so Sabrina's friends, they just like grilled him. Like Sean was just not given a chance at all. And I had my own issues with him in terms of him, being cheap and the comment about paying a bill or two. But as far as the actual comment that Sabrina set it up with, it was taken out of context. And I felt that that wasn't fair to Sean at all. So that wasn't right at all. I did not feel that, even though I have my own opinions on entrepreneur Sean and his 1 or 2 bill payment. That's not, the way she brought that energy in when it was clearly about the fact that he didn't want, to be in a situation with somebody who didn't want more children, and he really did. And, then the relationship progressed to something serious. And then obviously that's something that he would still want in the end. So that was kind of the end of that. And I have to say separately, I have not seen Sabrina much this season, and she's just not giving. Like, she is not giving at all. I don't know if she's going to make it to the end. I'm just not seeing it though right now. Next we go to Zadia. She goes out on a date and brings Bilal to meet her friends, and he brings her, some white roses, and they just have like chemistry off the charts. And so it looked like her friends, really kind of liked him, but we're kind of also asking, somebody his age, why hasn't he already been married and settled down and everything? And I don't know. It's just kind of weird. A lot of these men and some of the stages that they are in their lives. But nonetheless, outside of that, I guess the date was okay. Next, we move on to Kamil. And oh boy. So she has her friends, and obviously she's basically, stuck her claim to Cornelius and no one else. And it was interesting because there was like a look that one of the friends gave Cornelius, like they knew that Cornelius and Kamil were not like a thing. And Camille also, it was very concerning because she said that they've never kissed, and she's calling him her boyfriend and all this and that. And I also found it interesting that part of the reason that Cornelius, didn't want to move forward with Courtney, because he said that she was leading with sex and everything, and he was celibate. But Camille, on the other hand, she's been engaged multiple times, and she has a child, and she's repeatedly saying in these confessionals that she wants to have sex with Cornelius, that she wants to try things out with him, and this and that. And I don't know. It just seems that her and Cornelius are not on the same page. One of her friends pointed out to Cornelius that she's like a runaway bride, that she gets engaged to all these people, but she gets bored easily. She's never serious about them. If I'm Cornelius, that should have been an immediate red flag to bolt out of there and end things with Kamil. It just seems like he's scared to tell her that he doesn't have as strong of feelings for her as she does him, because he doesn't want to feel or see the wrath that's going to come his way if he does it. But he needs to get out because he looks like he's being held hostage in this situation. So then we move on to Moomin. Moomin is who Cornelius needs to be with. I don't know what the delay is or what the issue is, but that's who needs to be together, is Moomin and Cornelius. Please make it happen. I think we only have a few episodes left, but can we please have something happen? Like something, can we manifest this? Because those two are like so perfect for each other. They're both celibate. They're both heavy into their religious beliefs. They're both nice people. They're just sweethearts. They would be so amazing together. So Moomin, she goes out and she has one of her best friends who's been married for a couple of decades. And she first starts off the date with Dante. And Dante, of course, is giving, the eye candy. However, he is the person, obviously, who has, the 3 kids with the 3 different women. And so then Walter kind of just appears in the middle of their date, and Dante then kind of holds Moomin's hand. But that was kind of a player move, because if you were really secure in your situation, you would have stayed. And that's not what happened. Basically, after a little bit, Dante kind of got up and left, and Walter kind of made a snide comment like, yeah, the guy that said that he's a commitment type of person just kind of dips out at the sign of competition. And that right there, should tell you who you're dealing with. I don't see it for either one of these guys. I just don't think they're looking for love. So I'm hoping Moomin and Cornelius can forge something together. Next, we have Mr. Phil. Oh, man. I feel like the production team has been holding back on Phil from us. Like, why did we not see him like at all? So he was like the popular guy. He had 3 dates this week with Aisha, with Tashia, and with Shiloh. And then also Sabrina, who I feel is... Oh, no, not Sabrina. Well, I don't know why Sabrina's on my mind. I'm still like agitated from what happened earlier with Sean. Sydney, who we have not seen, she has a date with Frank, who she previously knew from when she was going out and the nightlife scene and everything else. And her and Frank look extremely cozy. I don't know where Sydney's screen time is going, but I feel like we need to see more of her. She came as a bombshell, and like we've seen nothing. And she was giving me life. She was giving me energy. She was giving me like, hey, this is a dating show. I'm going to show you what this date's going to do. And I don't know why they spent all that time and wasted it earlier on Sabrina when we could have been getting Sydney content. So because her and Frank already look like a couple, and I felt like I missed a couple of episodes because I was like, well, where was this energy? Because we have not been seeing Sydney at all. So it looked like a couple of her friends, it seemed like they liked Frank, but they felt that some of his answers were a little bit rehearsed and a little bit, kind of like pageant, say things that people are going to like and, ooh and ah over, and not necessarily genuine. So they had some concerns. And then I was trying to figure out, for one of Sydney's friends, he had on like makeup. He looked like he was Sydney's sibling. Like they looked like twins. It was like really weird. So that was interesting. next we go on to Phil. As I had said, he was like the hot commodity of the week with dates with Shiloh, Aisha, and Tashia. It seems as though his strongest connection is actually Shiloh. They just look like they're on their own little world. Him and Aisha, I would say, is kind of a close second, but I'm hoping Aisha has another connection because I don't know if Phil is the right guy for her. And Phil kind of got away with kind of being very nice to everybody, but kind of saying the same things to Aisha and Tashia, but with Shiloh, it was just a different energy. It was very affectionate. You could tell that, like, she's his top choice, and if the show were to end today, like, that's who he wants. So, that is something, obviously, that I can't wait to see how all of that unfolds moving forward. And that was kind of the conclusion I felt, in terms of what the high points were of all of the dates. Then, of course, we get to deliberation where all of the girls meet and kind of discuss what happened this week. And it was just weird. It was a very weird vibe. Everybody's kind of talking about their dates. Sabrina's talking about how things went left with Sean. Tashia chimes in that she hasn't heard from him. And, everybody's kind of just going around the room. And, we finally get to a bottom two where pretty mostly everyone says that they really haven't had anything with Cornelius. But part of that is he was basically locked down the first day. And Kamil just basically said, hey, this is my boyfriend. Nobody talked to him. So it kind of like pushed all the other girls away from trying to get to know him. And so the whole entire time, Kamil is just giving these dirty faces and these dirty glances to anybody who says something negative about Cornelius. And it's like, girl, you brought this on yourself. Like, nobody had a chance to ever have the opportunity to get to know this man. And now he's at risk of being eliminated in spite of his connection with you, because nobody else has anything going with him. And nobody sees it for him because you've been basically blocking it. And so, and then, of course, Sean was the other person that was in the bottom. I honestly thought it could have been a double elimination, honestly, because I feel both men could go. Because it's like, what's the point of Cornelius staying if he's not going to get to know the other women? Like, you can't just, like, that was kind of what did Tyrone in. And he got eliminated, was he just zoomed in on Shiloh and basically told her that she was it and he was done with the process. However, you still had several weeks to go in the process. And if you don't have any other connections with any other women, like, there was no point in staying, because you had dumped Sabrina like right after that. So I'm curious to see if Cornelius is going to try to forge some connections with some other women, because outside of that, if he doesn't, then him and Kamil can go. Because there's just no point. So after nephew Tommy left, and he gives like some little grapevine joke as he's like walking away with a thing of grapes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, nephew Tommy, oh my goodness. So there was no drama necessarily when he was there. He tried to get it added to Tashia because he could kind of tell that Tashia was being fake in her reaction to Phil having multiple dates, because it seemed like she was the only person who was out of the loop. And Aisha was the one who gave the whole rubber band analogy that if you stretch yourself out and get to know other people, but then you basically come back in and you snap back and you're narrow, then it was meant to be with the person that, you're supposed to be with. So that was interesting. And so, after Tommy left, things kind of escalated. Zadia was just really on one. I didn't understand where this energy was coming from. Sydney was trying to be nice and give her input. She just friendly, said girl at the end of it. And Zadia's like, you're going to address me as Zadia and not girl. And I'm like, what? Like, she wasn't trying to say it to be like a smart aleck. She was just trying to be friendly and say it because she said she's brand new. She doesn't know everybody. She doesn't know everybody's names. Like, she literally just got there. So why are you coming for her like that? Like, it was just so random. And then, people, and then Camille wanted to also get her dibs into Aisha because Aisha felt a way about Zadia, trying to still hold on to multiple connections. And Aisha's like, we have to make a decision. Like, don't just keep somebody like Cornelius because he's in your back pocket or because he's friends with Camille. Like, if all of us are saying we don't have a connection with him, he needs to go. And that's really what she was trying to convey to Zadia, because really her main connection is Bailao. So I don't even understand why she's making a big deal about anything else. Like, because we don't see her connections with anyone else. We just see her primarily with Bailao. So this whole thing that, she has to, keep her own thing going was kind of turning off some of the women. And so Aisha was like in the confessional, like, you have a list. If you go to the grocery store, you buy one item, you have one item. But if you go to the grocery store and you buy 2 items, you have a list. You're getting this and that. And she's right. So I don't know why Zadia was trying to act as though, like, she was confused or she was uncertain. Like, we know it's Bailao. It's Bailao or nobody else. Like, it's not rocket science. So then it was interesting because even Tashia got in because she was just tired of the fakeness. And so at first I didn't see it for Tashia in the beginning, but I kind of realized her personality. She's like a quiet storm and she's a cool person. However, she's cool until you give her a reason not to be cool. And so I think that's why she was so mad the first episode, because she felt like she was putting forth an effort with these men, and then to find herself at the bottom too and at risk for going home, she felt as though people were lying and playing in her face, which I could totally, see that from her perspective. And so when Tommy called her out of, giving a fake reaction to Phil, but then she really let it out, with the whole Zadia thing, then I saw, okay, she's been holding back her real true thoughts on Zadia because this has been brewing for a little bit here. But, it seems like she's one of those people that in the event that you give her a reason to, have her pop off or have her, give a certain reaction, then she'll do it. So I felt that's why it kind of seems like she's reserved or that she's holding back. So, but yeah, everybody just kind of took their turns at Zadia. And then I just got turned off again with Kamil tonight. It's like, I don't know if she just deliberately wants the viewers to hate her guts or what it is, but she started then mocking, Aisha in the confessional, and she's like, well, first she says that, it's a rubber band and you can stretch yourself thin, but, now it's an issue with Zadia because she can't be too narrow. But here's the thing. I felt like she was kind of mocking Aisha by calling her New York, like trying to imply something else, like either like she's hood or she's ghetto, or trying to, do that as if she's like above her or that she's classier than her. But then Kamil, you're the same person that's on social media saying that Oprah's network is editing you to be an angry black woman and that there's colorism on the show. But in the event that you have issues with other women in the group, it's okay for you to be nasty and be stereotypical about them. And I just don't like that. I don't like people who are messy like that. And I get that obviously Zadia is her friend, but like, you didn't have to come for Aisha like that. And obviously you don't have the same energy because you didn't tell Aisha any of that to her face. And I cannot wait till the reunion because I hope Aisha lights Kamil up for that, because it was completely unnecessary for her to come there. It wasn't even her conversation to, have that type of feelings for. Zadia is a grown woman and she can speak for herself, but Zadia needs to realize that she did not need to be 100 over some nonsense. Like, everybody knows that she only likes Bailao, so this whole thing, like, she's confused about narrowing down her list was hogwash. It was not that serious. So anyways, I brought him to one person gets eliminated, even though I felt both people should have been eliminated. So Tashia and Sean go out on a date, and Cornelius and Zadia go out on a date. And I didn't even know Cornelius was even interested in Zadia, because apparently Zadia and Kamil are BFFs. And, Cornelius kept mentioning in his talk with her that he was holding back because he didn't want to get, a negative reaction out of Kamil. And I'm like, dude, like, you need to be released from this kidnapping. You need to be released from these shackles because you are just going through it, dude. Like, you need to speak up and man up. Like, you need to tell her that you need to explore other options or you're not going to be on the show much longer. I don't know what's so hard to convey. And then even Tashia was throwing shade in the confessionals, like, hey, word on the street is, your dude you're calling your boyfriend isn't all that into you, Kamil, but he's scared to, say what he really wants to say because he knows that you're going to react a certain way. So that is like a huge red flag because it's like at this point, Kamil is just on the show for drama. If you've yet to kiss Cornelius, you've yet to have anything romantic happen between the two of you, but you tell everybody that he's your boyfriend and he's off limits, nobody else can have him. Are you just there then for drama? Because nothing makes sense. So, Cornelius is coming in basically saying that he's also like Zadia, thought she was sexy. The way he was describing Zadia, I have never heard him say any of that to Kamil or about Kamil. He said that about Courtney, but he's never said anything like that about Kamil. That's why I know he doesn't see it for Kamil, but he just is too afraid to say something. And so then Tashia and Sean talk, and Tashia basically says, hey, I thought you were going to call me after our date. I left the key under the mat, thought you were going to come through and, pick up the phone and call me, and you just completely ghosted me. And so Sean basically said, after everything that happened with Sabrina and her friends, that when he checks out of a situation, he just basically throws in the towel. The one thing I will say that I thought he was full of it on was the fact that he was trying to, his explanation on why he wants to, have women basically go out of their way to talk to him first before he starts to talk back to them. And it's like, dude, you're 44 years old. Like, that's hogwash. Any man who's grown, who's interested in a woman, he's going to go out of his way to let her know that. And he's going to facilitate that conversation and keep contacting her to let her know as such. If you're not contacting the woman, you're not interested. Point blank, period. And that's all Sean needed to say. But we've gotten to this weird way now where people, do not want to just own their feelings and just own how they feel. And instead they want to hide behind, all of these other things to make things a lot more drama infested than it needs to be. And basically just step away and just let, the female, quit on the situation. And it's just very annoying because it's like you can save so much time and energy by just saying, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, I didn't feel the same way, versus just completely ghosting people. And then when you do interact with them again, you're basically gaslighting them and trying to make it seem like it's not your fault, but really it is. So I felt like at that point, I felt Sean really wasn't interested in any of the women. That once Aisha and Sabrina pretty much said that they were not interested in more children, that was a wrap for him. I don't think really any of them are interested in Tashia. I just think that they're just trying to be friendly and they're trying to just keep her longer because of, what happened last season where they had a plus size woman on and they didn't want to look mean by having her go by the first or second episode. But it's pretty clear that these men are playing in Tashia's face, and it's better for her to just not move forward on the show because they can't be honest. And so Cornelius, again, they go back to Cornelius and Zadia. He's still giving the runaround. And, Zadia's trying to tell him, like, hey, the ladies deliberated. And they're like, listen, we need to know whether or not Cornelius is willing to get to know us, because we basically feel like there's no chance for him to get to know us because of how possessive Kamil has been over him and how she has this chokehold over him. And so after that, it kind of gave Cornelius some food for thought, and he low-key kind of dumped Zadia in the process, that like he didn't want any beef with her and he didn't want to pursue anything romantically with her because she's Camille's friend and didn't want that blowback. So I don't know where Cornelius goes from here. And so essentially we get back to Tashia and Sean, and, you know, she essentially tells Sean, because he basically went MIA for this week, that he was not ready to love because basically nobody in the group heard from him. And so then I thought, okay, they're going to get rid of Cornelius too, because he only has Kamil and basically alienated, you know, all these other women with all the drama with the Kamil stuff. And so Zadia says that, you know, he's not ready to, you know, be eliminated yet from the process, but that he needs to start to get to know some of these other women or it's going to be a wrap for him. So then they show previews for next week to where people are meeting each other's exes. And it looks like for the men that they are bringing their exes, but then they're bringing like 2 women that they're interested in at the same time for like drama purposes, or all of the women they're interested in. So it just all looks a hot mess, because Tashia's out with, you know, Phil, and it just looks very suspect because basically Phil and Shiloh, they're like in their own little world. Then Zadia, she's on 10 again because she's mad that there's other females that are showing up on her date. And then Cornelius, he brings his ex. And so now that just kind of brings everything full circle because she looks like, you know, the humble, the church-going girl who does everything by the book, like the complete opposite of Kamil. And it's like, okay, Cornelius, like, are you just playing in our faces or are you trying to tell us something else? Because none of how you've been moving on this show is making any sense at all. And it is bringing up more questions than answers. So that's where we kind of left things, and that's where we're kind of heading into next week. I hope they do a double elimination next week because Kamil needs to go. She truly does. Like, honestly, it needs to be a triple eviction. Kamil, Sabrina, and Tashia need to go. Tashia, for the simple fact that these men are just not feeling her, and they'll go out on dates with her, they'll entertain her, but then essentially they're kind of just ghosting her after that or not putting in as much effort as they are with the women that they actually want. And so she's basically like second, third, fourth choice for them, but they're just not just gonna just tell her the real, that they don't see it for her. And Kamil, of course, obviously has no interest in getting to know any other man but Cornelius. However, in her description of her interactions with Cornelius, it doesn't seem like they're doing much of anything anyways. So it's like, what's the point? Like, why are you there? And then Sabrina, of course, although she has the alleged connection with Walter, I'm just not seeing anything with her. Like, I just don't see it for her. And there were even episodes that she really wasn't even in. So it's just like, why is she still on the show at this point? So those are all of my thoughts. I kind of just wish that we just throw in the towel in this season because nobody really has any romantic connections. The only people who really look like a couple is Phil and Shiloh and, you know, possibly Sydney and Frank and possibly Zadia and Bailao. But like, as for everybody else, they're just like playing in our faces because we are just not seeing it. So I just don't know, like, moving forward, if they're going to do a better job of casting, if this comes back for another season, or if they go to another city, because it just seems like the men in DC, whether they're transplants for another location, they just do not want to put in any effort with any of these women and just want to give them the bare minimum to where it gets to the point that the female has to remove herself from the situation or get humiliated and embarrassed in front of other people before she walks away. And that's just not how dating needs to be. And these are grown men, you know, 30s to 50s that are playing in people's faces like this, and it's just not entertaining for the viewer because it doesn't even look legit. You're meeting these people's friends and they're not even ready to love. So I'll be happy when the season is over and we get to the reunion and get to the real tea spillage. And I think that'll kind of close the gap on a lot of things and explain some unanswered questions as well. So those are all of my thoughts. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys thought of the episode. And I will talk to you guys again very soon.